fellow heirs, and welcome back to Weekday Wind Down with the Word, where we are reading through the book of Leviticus. And today we will be reading the 19th chapter of Leviticus in the NLT version. So let's get started. Today's chapter is about holiness and personal conduct. The Lord also said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the entire community of Israel. You must be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Each one of you must show respect for your mother and your father, and you must always obey the Sabbath day of rest. I am the Lord your God. Do not put your trust in idols or make mental images of gods for yourself. I am the Lord your God. When you sacrifice a peace offering to the Lord, offer it properly so you will be accepted by God. The sacrifice must be eaten on the same day you offer it or on the next day. Whatever is left over until the third day must be completely burned up. If any of the sacrifice is eaten on the third day, it will be contaminated, and I will not accept it. Anyone who eats it on the third day will be punished for defiling what is holy to the Lord and will be cut off from the community. When you harvest the crops of your land, do not harvest the grain along the edges of your field, and do not pick up the harvester's drop. It is the same with your grape crop. Do not strip every last bunch of grapes from the vine, and do not pick up the grapes that fall to the ground. Leave them for the poor and foreigners living among you. I am the Lord your God. Do not deceive or cheat one another. Do not bring shame on the name of your God by using it to swear falsely. I am the Lord. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not make your hired workers wait until the next day to receive their pay. Do not insult the deaf or cause the blind to stumble. You must fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not twist justice in legal matters by favoring the poor or being partial to the rich and powerful. Always judge people fairly. Do not spread slanderous gossip among your people. Do not stand idly by when your neighbor's life is threatened. I am the Lord. Do not nurse hatred in your heart for any of your relatives. Confront people directly so you will not be held guilty for their sins. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against a fellow Israelite, but love your neighbors as yourself. I am the Lord. You must obey all my decrees. Do not make two different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two different kinds of seeds. Do not wear clothing woven from two different kinds of thread. If a man has sex with a slave girl whose freedom has never been purchased, but who is committed to become another man's wife, he must pay full compensation to her master. But since she is not a free woman, neither the man nor the woman will be put to death. The man, however, must bring a ram as a guilt offering and present it to the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will then purify him before the Lord with the ram of the guilt offering, and the man's sin will be forgiven. When you enter the land and plant fruit trees, leave the fruit unharvested for the first 3 years and consider it forbidden. Do not eat it. In the 4th year, the entire crop must be consecrated to the Lord as a celebration of praise. Finally, in the 5th year, you may eat the fruit. If you follow this pattern, your harvest will increase. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat meat that has not been drained of its blood. Do not practice fortune telling or witchcraft. Do not trim off the hair of your temples or trim your beards. Do not cut your bodies for the dead, and do not mark your skin with tattoos. I am the Lord. Do not defile your daughter by making her a prostitute or the land will be filled with prostitution and wickedness. Keep my Sabbath days of rest and show reverence towards my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not defile yourself by turning to mediums or to those who consult the spirits of the dead. I am the Lord your God. Stand up in the presence of the elderly and show respect for the aged. Fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not take advantage of foreigners who live among you in your land. Treat them like native-born Israelites and love them as you love yourself. Remember that you were once foreigners living in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use dishonest standard when measuring length, weight, or volume. Your scales and weights must be accurate. Your containers for measuring dry material or liquids must be accurate. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You must be careful to keep all my decrees and regulations by putting them into practice. I am the Lord. And that concludes the reading of Leviticus 19 in the NLT version. Here's another chapter that just spells out the things that God is not pleased with, and it's spelled out so clearly here in His Word. So it kind of made me think of the Ten Commandments, but the Ten Commandments is in Exodus, so I knew it wasn't the Ten Commandments. Plus there was more, do not, do this, than 10. But these are very, very clear instructions of what not to do. And as I have said before, God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So these things are still into effect today. I think the only thing that I might have read where people kind of go off, on is the cutting of the hair. But again, I think a lot of this was precisely for the Israelites, and particularly the men of God, the priests. But a lot of these things, even though this was for the Israelite priesthood, a lot of these things, and the Israelites, a lot of these things we still follow today because they are still, pleasing to God. If we are practicing this stuff, it's not pleasing to God. And when you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, we give up our will. For example, just say I was into reading my horoscope or going to psychics or something like that. God says that's clearly wrong. And He is not pleased with that. He is not down with that program. I call it demonic. But He is not down with that program. And you wonder what's the difference between that and prophecy? I said prophecy, to me, prophecy is led by the Spirit of God. But when it comes to psychics and mediums, to me, that's led by demonic spirits. So that's the way I see it. And God does not want us to be entertaining those things. But there's a lot of things that He just spelled out very clearly. I mean, there's not really much to explain here from this chapter because He just crossed the T's and dotted the I's. No explanation really needed. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it right here. What do you think about chapter 19? Please put it in the comments below. Iron sharpen irons. And you can learn from me and I can learn from you. And we can grow together. Okay? But thank you so much for listening to Weekday Wind Down with the Word. And have a blessed day. Bye.